Within the story of Red Dead Redemption 2, the Van der Linde gang comes across a lot of horrible people that act as antagonists throughout their journey. People like Cornwall Driscoll, Leviticus Cornwall, and Alberto Fusar are all awful and downright evil people for one reason or another. But one antagonist that is made present from the very beginning of the game to the very end of the game is Agent Ross and Milton of the Pinkerton Detective Agency. These men follow and pursue the gang all throughout the game and prove to be one of the biggest hindrances for Dutch's plans and cause the death of multiple gang members. From hearing this, you would think that the Pinkertons are pure evil, but honestly, of all the antagonists of the game, the Pinkertons are not evil at all. In fact, I'd even say they are quite good. So for this video, let's take a look at why these prevalent antagonists within the story of Red Dead Redemption 2 are actually good guys. And of course, we're going to be talking about morals. Lots and lots of morals. Before the video starts, I must warn to everyone who hasn't finished the story of Red Dead Redemption 2 that this video will have lots of spoilers for the main story, so watch at your own risk. Anyways, enjoy. The Pinkertons are a private detective agency hired by the government and other third parties for security and other detective work. They act as basically hired lawmen at a time when America was plagued with outlaw gangs like the Van der Linde gang. Their main goal was to break up as many of these outlaw gangs as they could and bring them to justice. They initially had their sights on the Van der Linde gang after being present at the boat robbery that happened in Blackwater. We don't know much of what happened at that robbery. In fact, all events of the main story take place right after the robbery to the eventual breakup of the gang. Throughout the main story, they pursue the gang all in the hopes of breaking up the gang and prosecuting Dutch for what he's done. When playing the main story of Red Dead Redemption 2, we play through the perspective of Arthur Morgan, who's affiliated with a gang of criminals. That's part of what makes the game so special. You get to see the perspective of these criminals and the reasons these crimes were committed. And, shockingly enough, they are human beings with feelings, emotions, and reasons for committing these heinous acts.
We just need money. One more decent take and we're gone.
But flip that point of view to a random citizen of, say, Saint-Denis, Valentine, Rhodes, and you will see a huge difference in how you see these characters. Honestly, I would be afraid. I would feel these criminals should be locked up for life since a lot of what they do is awful. Killing and robbing people, innocent or not, are not things that a sane person should be doing in society. And as a person living, knowing these people are out there, I'd be afraid. Having people coming after them to try and bring them to justice is really far from an awful thing to do. Although being hired by the awful Leviticus Cornwall, I would argue that they are still in the right by doing what they are doing. In the end, they want to break up a criminal gang that has been harassing multiple towns and cities all throughout America by capturing and trying Dutch. Is that really an awful thing to do? Considering everything they've done and the amount of people they've hurt and killed, honestly, it seems quite noble to me. In Chapter 2, one of the lead agents of the Pinkerton Detective Agency, Agent Milton, comes up to Arthur with a proposition.
Bring in Van der Linde. You have my word, you won't swing.
Arthur declines. The fact that they didn't capture or turn him in when he was right there is actually really interesting, with them trying to give him a second chance and them really wanting Dutch. This is done for the whole gang at the tail end of Chapter 3, and they all decline. They give everyone in the gang an opportunity to leave, despite everyone in the gang being a known killer, thief, and criminal.
But I came to make a deal. It's time. You come with me, and I give the rest of you 3 days to run off, disappear, and go and live like human beings someplace else.
Agent Milton offered them all a second chance except for Dutch, and they never took it. This honestly shows that they were willing to give everyone a second chance to live a normal life despite them already being known criminals. In the modern day, for first-degree murder, you would usually end up with either a life in prison or in some areas death. The fact that they were willing to show even some compassion to the people affected by Dutch is honestly more than I'd be willing to do. They've stolen thousands of dollars and taken hundreds of lives, so the fact that they even gave them this option is unbelievable. Now, if they would have kept their word is debatable. Just look at the events of Red Dead Redemption 1. Agent Ross didn't keep his word, so. But no one truly knows what would have happened. In the end, though, they were all given a second chance that no one took, despite everything they already did. And the fact that they weren't killed or captured on sight shows that they at least had some compassion for the criminals. Subsequently, after everyone was offered a second chance, but they decided to continue robbing and terrorizing, the Pinkertons attacked them relentlessly until the very end of the game.
I shall hunt you to the ends of the earth at the end of time!
Honestly, something I'm surprised they didn't do from the start. This does end up in Agent Milton's death as a part of the last mission, and with the death of Arthur and final breakup of the gang, ends the Pinkerton versus Van der Linde feud. Now, one thing I really haven't brought up is how he speaks to the gang in the few instances he does.
I don't know if you're aware, but this is a civilized land now. We didn't kill all them savages only to allow the likes of you to act like human dignity and basic decency was outmoded or not yet invented. This thing, it's done.
It's extremely disrespectful and almost hateful. But really, if you look into the eyes of a lawman seeing what these criminals have done, it really is deserved. In fact, in the Chapter 3 meeting with him, he blames all of it on Dutch, leading these people astray, seemingly giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Who made you the messiah to these lost souls you've led so horribly astray?
This really begs the question, how are these people deserved to be treated? From the eyes of the player who has grown emotionally attached to these characters and have seen their highs and lows, you more than likely will grow a bias towards the gang members. But in the end, these people are still criminals doing awful things because they believe it's all they can do to survive. It's uncivilized, since throughout the game they make it seem like they have only hurt other bad people, but what about the random guards that were killed? They are human beings. Or the people we've robbed. They are also human beings, more than likely with a family. Everything that Dutch claims the gang stands for is morally incorrect, since yes, they do steal from the power-hungry capitalists, but they also steal from the common folk and people that really didn't deserve it. They disrupt the lives of so many unfortunate people, and so in the end, biases aside, I do believe a lot of the ways the Pinkertons treat them are more than deserved. And what the Pinkertons are doing, trying to stop them, is the morally correct thing for them to do. Now, I wanted to use this final segment to talk about the Pinkertons in real life, since if you didn't know, they do exist. The Pinkerton National Detective Agency, now simplified to Pinkerton, is still an active detective agency today, offering similar services that they did in the game. They, in the late 19th and early 20th century, were key players in hunting down infamous gangs from the time like the James Younger Gang and the Reno Gang. I wanted to show this to you all because A, it's really cool and interesting, and B, to show the morality of it. To be honest, a lot of the people who were part of these real-life gangs were probably real people born into rough problems and saw crime as their only form of survival. But in the end, that's wrong. And what they did is wrong. And they deserve to be prosecuted for what they are doing. So whether in the real or fictional world, the Pinkertons are doing what's right to help keep society in order. The The Pinkertons in the end were just trying to bring these people to justice in a civilized manner and gave them multiple chances to try and rectify their ways. Through the eyes of Arthur, these men were awful, disrupting their gang's lives and killing off some of the most influential members. But in the end, the gang did the same to thousands of people, and even the Pinkertons themselves. And even though an eye for an eye makes the world go blind, sometimes you need to ensue order where there is chaos, and bring justice to those who create it. Thank you so much for watching the video, and if you want more Red Dead content, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a lot. It helps me work more towards my goal of really being a full-time content creator. So thank you so much for the support and watching this far, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Good night.